making his way to the studio. Recently voted smarter than he looks, it's Mike Smithgall.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. I'm Mike Smithgall, the unelected mayor of Atheistville, and this is today's Mic Drop. Today's subject is Pastor Doug Wilson, a man on a decades-long mission to turn America into a Christian nation and eventually the entire world into a Christian nation. We'll get to that in a minute. And somehow, instead of being laughed out of polite society, he's now rubbing elbows with high-ranking members of the government. If this was just about personal belief, fine. But this is about power, political and cultural and legal, all wrapped up in one ideology. And that ideology doesn't just target atheists, it targets anyone who doesn't fit his mold, and especially women. So let's start with Wilson in his own words so you can hear for yourself exactly what the end game is. Here's Pastor Doug Wilson laying out his goal, and just so we're clear, this is not satire.
Senior Pastor Doug Wilson makes no apologies for his beliefs on God and country.
I'd like to see the town be a Christian town. I'd like to see the state be a Christian state. I'd like to see the nation be a Christian nation. I'd like to see the world be a Christian world.
And that's not a metaphor. That's the mission statement. And the fact that people in power are nodding along should make you more than a little bit uncomfortable. Wilson has spent decades building a network of over 150 churches worldwide. His home base is in Moscow, Idaho, where his followers operate businesses and schools and cultural institutions. This isn't just evangelism. It's a blueprint for embedding influence into the social and economic life of a community. Now he's brought that model to Washington, D.C., opening that church just 3 blocks from the Capitol. His debut service, attended by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. We're surprised, right? Here's CNN asking Wilson if this is part of his mission to turn America into a Christian nation.
Is planting a church in D.C. part of your mission to try to turn this into a Christian nation?
Yes.
Notice how there's no hesitation, no qualifiers, just yes. That's as subtle as a marching band in your living room. Imagine being that confident about dismantling the Constitution. I get nervous if I don't take my library book back on time. This guy's trying to destroy the Constitution. Wilson's worldview boils down to this. Every society is theocratic. The only question is, whose? In his mind, all governments are run by some higher authority. In America, that should be his God. Here's Wilson explaining what's wrong with secular democracy and why he thinks his version should run the show.
So every society is theocratic. The only question is who's Theo? In a secular democracy, it would be demos, the people. In a Christian republic, it'd be Christ.
Okay, well that sounds tidy, right? But here's the problem. In his model, you're not ruled by God. You're ruled by the people who say they speak for God. And those people have a funny way of always agreeing with themselves. If your form of government requires a middleman between you and the Almighty, maybe don't be shocked when the middleman starts making up all the rules. This is where Wilson's vision stops being theoretical and starts getting personal. He doesn't just want a Christian nation in name. He wants laws shaped by his theology and laws that would roll back hard-won rights, especially for women. He has said openly that women should not vote. Not fewer women should vote. Not women should be encouraged to let their husbands decide. No. People in his church, leaders in his church, have said they want to repeal the 19th Amendment. Here's Wilson and his fellow pastors, in their own words, on women voting.
Wilson says in his vision of a Christian society, women as individuals shouldn't be able to vote. His fellow pastors, Jared Longshore and Toby Sumter, agree.
In my ideal society, we would vote as households. And I would ordinarily be the one that would cast the vote, but I would cast the vote having discussed it with my household.
But what if there's your wife doesn't want to vote for the same person as you?
Right. Well, then that's a great opportunity for a good discussion.
There are some who have gone so far as to say that they want the 19th Amendment repealed.
I would support that. And I'd support it on the basis that the atomization that comes with our current system is not good for humans.
This would be the kind of thing that would be laughable if he didn't have real influence, but he does. And he's not shy about saying it out loud. And it's not just the vote. Wilson's theology says women must submit to their husbands, can't lead in church or government, and should focus primarily on childbearing, because nothing says limited government like deciding who's allowed to make decisions about their own life. This isn't rhetoric anymore. It's now tied to political figures, policy discussions, and a network actively expanding in the nation's capital. When asked how far off a Christian theocracy may be, Wilson didn't flinch. He did say 250 years, which sounds like an incredibly long time, but it also gives you insight into what his thoughts are. He has a long-term plan. Here's Wilson explaining his timeline for reshaping America.
How far off do you see a Christian nation, like a full-on Christian theocracy?
Oh, 250 years.
250 years.
Yeah, honestly, that's yes.
What you see. But you do think it will happen?
Yes, I do. We're not going to usher in anything ourselves. We're really genuinely pioneers.
And here's the kicker. He doesn't have to win tomorrow. The goal is incremental. Build a network, shape the culture, influence the laws. Eventually, you get theocracy by attrition. It's like a hostile corporate takeover, but instead of stock options, you get purity pledges and a lifetime supply of unsolicited moral advice. This is why Christian nationalism is dangerous. It's not a single election cycle. It's a generational strategy. And misogyny isn't a side note. It's part of the model. Limit who can lead, who can vote, who can speak, and suddenly dissent is a lot harder to organize. Even if you're Christian, if you're not Wilson's kind of Christian, you're still on the outside. His version of America leaves no room for religious diversity or secular government. And for women or LGBTQ people, religious minorities, it's even more restrictive. That's not just a cultural shift. It's an anti-democratic power grab disguised as moral leadership. And here's the part that people often overlook. Movements like this gain traction because they feel too fringe to matter, right up until they have their hands around your throat. Think of it like this. You remember several years ago when there was that tsunami in Asia? People were amazed. They looked way off in the distance and they thought, well, that's weird. That huge wave is way out there. Before you know it, that huge wave was on top of them, crushing them. That's exactly what happens in this situation. Whether you care the most about the political threat, the misogyny, or the erosion of pluralism, the danger is the same. Once laws are written to match a single theology, your personal freedoms are only as safe as your alignment with that theology. And one last thing. When someone tells you exactly how they would restructure your country, believe them. Doug Wilson isn't shy about his plans, and neither are the people giving him platforms in the halls of power. The question isn't whether they'll try to do it. The question is whether the rest of us will be paying attention while they do it. All right, that's my 2 cents, unblessed and unfiltered. Agree or disagree, that's what I got for you today. So let me know what you think in the comments. And if you enjoyed the show, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone else that you think might appreciate it. And hey, if someone you know would make a great guest, reach out. Let's connect. Until next time, take care. And remember, reason and compassion go a very long way. Take care.